start this programme with a Billington E2 class, working a short goods train to Muchfenley Yard. The model was actually a conversion from the Hornby E2 in LBSCR livery that Dad has greatly uprated and improved. The E2 tanks receive a very unfair press. They were in fact very good locomotives, capable of doing long, hard work, and of course were the inspiration for Thomas the Tank Engine. We are in the early days of World War II, the so-called phony war period. However, the E2 must make up a special troop train at short notice, and so adds London South Western cross-country set 134 to the waiting Maunsell 4-coach set. By now, set 134 had been reduced to 3 coaches, having lost coach 614 to an 8-car set. However, in this instance, the very large guards vans will be useful for storing kit bags, etc. 2104 here had been new way back in 1914 and would last in service until 1963. A Hornby model R315 came out in 1980. And now the train loco backs onto its train in the shape of N15 742 Camelot, one of the very famous King Arthur class. Whistles blow and 742 heads powerfully away, with this relatively short train bound for an undisclosed military location south of Woking. .742 had been new in 1919 and would last until 1957. She was an easily built machine. The King Arthur's proved to be one of the most versatile designs of its era, and it was only displaced when the more modern and powerful Lord Nelson arrived, and ultimately the Bulliard Pacifics. The model by Hornby is presented in Southern Wartime black livery, came out in 2017, arriving with me in 2022. She makes a fine sight as she heads out of the suburbs towards the country. Now we move on 2 decades and arrive in the 1960s, with British Railways in charge. Our first sight is one of Mr. Bulliard's powerful Q1 class goods engines, number 33009. She's leaving Much Fiddler Yard with a long goods train, with a good fitted head, which is just as well, as the only downside of the Q1's performance was its ability to slow and stop loose coupled trains, due to its low weight and therefore brake force. Otherwise they were extremely powerful and when needed fast machines. .33009 was new in 1942 and would last until nearly 1966. The model by Hornby was a recent second-hand purchase. All that was wrong was one missing cab door that I replaced, and it needed a very detailed service. Hornby catalogue number R2344 came out back in 2003 and is a factory weathered example. And now another Bulliard locomotive in the shape of Class 12 diesel shunter 15221. That's bringing 2 vans for attachment to the express service to the west that's waiting at Much Fiddley Station. 15221 was new in 1948 and would last until the end of 1971. The model, made by Haugen for Model Rail, came out in around 2025. And is truly lovely with Bulliard wheels, working cab and marker lights and very smooth running. Now we come to our final locomotive and train of this presentation, and there could be no better way to end than with another of Mr. Bulliard's designs. Here is Merchant Navy Class 35023, named Holland Africa Line. new in November 1948, she would steam on until 1967. Of course, when she was new, she was in bullied air smooth condition, being rebuilt in 1957 at Eastleigh to the condition we see her now. I've been asked to choose which do I prefer, unrebuilt or rebuilt. I suppose I lean towards rebuilt. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. The model for me represents one of Hornby's finest models ever. This one, R2170, came out in the year 2000, in what many consider to be the sweet spot for Hornby models. Quite why Hornby seemed to make the Merchant Navy class such a good model is unknown, but I'm very glad they did, and even the new offerings are fantastic. But in my opinion, you won't beat the models sold between 2000 and 2007. I hope you enjoyed part 2 of this series. More soon. Cheers for now.